Hello, my name is Mr. Liu, and I am your 7-minute sensei. At the end of this assignment, you should be able to say, I can analyze and summarize complex data. Okay, in Canvas, we'll go to the assignment for Business Office Specialist 5.10.6. Go ahead and make this full screen for you. And start the lab. Okay, the first thing we need to do is click on the Rentals worksheet. Click on the Rentals worksheet and use the Subtotal button. That's found under the Data tab. Subtotal. Okay, we want to do a subtotal. And this should calculate the average revenue per day. So let's do, instead of sum, let's do average and revenue per day. Choose OK, and that's that task. On the Rentals 2 tab, so click on the Rentals 2 tab or worksheet. Use the subtotal dialog box. Click on Data, Subtotal, and we want to make the outline show total revenue for each day instead of the average revenue. Okay, so that's the default here. Choose that. Let's try that one more time. Instead of average, choose sum and choose OK. And we've got that one done. On the Reynolds 2 worksheet, click on the Reynolds 2 worksheet and collapse the outline. Go to the top, just below the ribbon here. Click on the number 1, and that will collapse this outline. Okay, let's undo that. And again, we want to go to the Reynolds 2 worksheet, collapse the outline so it shows only the average for each day and the grand average. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on 2, and that task is completed. Using the VLOOKUP tool on the VLOOKUP worksheet, so click on the VLOOKUP tab. And we want to create a formula in G2, so we select G2. To begin a formula, we click on the equal sign and type VLOOKUP, hit the tab. And once we hit the tab, we see all the parameters. And we have to find the lookup value, which is F2, select F2. Click on comma. The table array is we need to select the entire table. Click on comma. The index, we want in this case, we want to look up the corresponding title, which would be column 2. Type in 2, comma, and then we put 0 for false. Okay, this is range lookup. This essentially is saying that we are looking up a exact match. Okay. If it was an approximate match, we would choose 1 instead of 0. Click on the right parentheses, hit the Enter key. Okay, and then the final task is to replace F2 with the number 113, hit Enter. And as you can see, it changed the Lego movie. On the Movies worksheet, so we click on the Movies worksheet. Create a new pivot table based on A1 to F78. So select A1 to F78. Once we select the range, we'll choose the Insert tab or the Insert menu. Choose Insert and click on Pivot Table and choose OK. And we're done with that task. Next, it says select the pivot table number 1, pivot table 1. Build a report that shows the title of each movie grouped by decade. Okay, so we want to select decade and we want to drag that down to rows. And then we want to select titles. So we're going to be able to see titles by decade. Okay, in Pivot Table 1, we click on Pivot Table 1. So in this task on the Pivot Table 1 worksheet, we're to build a report. So we go to Pivot Table 1 tab, and we're to build a report that shows the average budget of each genre by decade. Okay, the genre should be on the left and the decades across the top. Okay, so what we need to do is we click on genre, and that is on each row on the left-hand side. And then we want to get the box, the average budget. So we have to click on budget and put that across the columns. So there, we move that, and we're going to put that, okay, and we want it average. So we click on that, click on value field settings, and then we want to click on average and choose OK. Okay, so now we have average budget by genre. Okay. By the decade. Okay, so I had not listed that. Decade, we'd have to click on decade and drag that and make sure that's over columns. Okay, and that task is completed. And on this, it says Pivot Table number 1. Build a report that shows the average box office earnings of each genre as rows. Okay, so as rows, so we click on that. Drag that down to rows, and we want to look for the average box office earnings. So click on box office earnings, drag that under values, and we want, instead of sum, we want average. So value field settings, choose average. Okay. Click on number format, click on currency, click on 0 decimals, click on OK, and we should be done with that task. And finally, our last task says that on Pivot Table 2, okay, so click on Pivot Table 2 worksheet, and we are to use the filters area to make the report showing only movies from Paramount Pictures. So we're going to choose Studio, drag that down to filters. Okay, got 9 out of 9.